Welcome to this week's Oracle card reading. It is going to be the week of May 28th, and if this is your first time joining in, my name is Rachel. I am the founder of Mind, Body, and Spirit Entrepreneur. So the card reading that I do is a little different than some that you might see on YouTube. A lot of it is really geared towards following your life purpose, your individual journey, which I know most Oracle cards really are geared towards that, but the card reading I do is often geared towards people who want to be entrepreneurs or want to have a business, writers, creatives, artists, somebody who really just wants to go out there and share their gifts with the world. So very quickly, I apologize for not having a card reading last week. I had some major camera issues and then I had to go out of town, so I did a filming and I couldn't put it up and then I had to leave town, so I'm really sorry for that. But let's get back on it. And for today, also, I'm going to flow some Reiki energy to anybody who's interested. So if you want some good positive energy for your highest and best good, then just say yes, I set the intention to accept the Reiki energy. If you think that I'm crazy and you're like, I don't know this girl, I don't want any Reiki energy that she is flowing, then just don't set the intention or intention, you won't get it. All right, so this week I pulled from 3 separate decks, which is what we're going to be doing every week, unless I'm guided to do otherwise. So the first deck where we're going to do our main reading is from James Van Praagh, A Soul's Journey. So that's that. Then we're going to pull one abundance card because we all want some more abundance, I'm sure. And this is from Angels of Abundance by Doreen Virtue. And then you are going to be able to pick your very own card, and I will show you how to do that. And that's going to be from the Law of Attraction cards by Esther and Jerry Hicks, inspired by the teachings of Abraham Hicks. Whoop. Okay, so let's get started. Sorry you've meditated over the cards. I pulled them and I will explain to you what they mean. So for the main reading, I typically pull 3, and today 5 came out. So I'll go over the first 3 because that's really the energy that you're going to probably be seeing this week. However, the final 2 cards that popped out are like this underlying lesson or this underlying energy. So keep in mind, this is a soul's journey card. So I know that the last card reading that you saw, not last week, but the one before, really was very much geared towards like our work or our business. But this one, this week, we're needing to learn some lessons on a soul level. And that's why this deck was chosen. So, the very first card that came up was the service card. And the service card represents the energy that either we just experienced or that we need to experience to move on to the next level in our journey. So this could be something that we just had a realization about, an epiphany about, something that we just became aware of, a lesson we just learned, or a lesson that's going on underneath our conscious awareness that we need to learn. So it's the service card and it says, I feel good when I can help others. And I'll just show you the picture because a lot of times these pictures, especially in this deck, will really resonate with you and you can be very intuitively guided. So again, this is about serving others. So when it comes to your business or your life purpose, this is saying that there is an aspect of it that is calling you to service. Now that's going to be different for everybody else. But what I want to do is go through the rest of this reading because it's really going to tie everything together. This is definitely a theme. It's more than just serving others. It's like our connection with everybody else. So perhaps we felt a little bit disconnected, a little bit confused or lost or misguided. And what this card is saying and what the rest of the cards that I pulled will show is that we need to reconnect with others. We need to connect the love and the inner divine being within us with that of those that we are trying to serve and just those in general who we live amongst, who we are around every single day. Okay, so the second card, don't let this freak you out. It's blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. So this is the current energy this week. So the service is something that either we just learned or it's going on below the level. The blame is what this energy is this week. And this is not necessarily about blaming yourself or blaming others. It's about accepting responsibility for our own well-being. And again, with the service card, you know, as it plays in together, often we blame outside people, outside factors for our situation. Often we like to point the finger at others or compare ourselves against others or say, you know, I'll never be as good as he or she is, you know, especially if we're trying to really build a brand or get our work out there in some way. A lot of times what goes on in our mind is comparison, like, oh, I'll never be at that level. Well, what this card is encouraging you to do this week is accept responsibility for your own well-being. Recognize that those who you're comparing yourself against or those who you're blaming has the same divine energy that you do. They have the same divine energy within them that you have within yourself. So if there's anybody or anything that you've been blaming that is outside of yourself this week, I encourage you to try and find that connection with others. It doesn't have to be face-to-face. It can be afar. This can be things like forgiveness and letting go of any like resentment, and definitely letting go of any comparison, anything that makes you feel separate. It's all the same energy. You know, we're just kind of in different little energy packets, but it's all the same. So this week we really need to step into who we are, own who we are, and feel connected to everybody else, but kind of forget about everybody else at the same time. So if we're able to really do that, then the outcome of this week is the empathy card. I'll read it and then I'll show it to you. It says, I am open to seeing both sides of a situation. So that is the picture. Really all this is talking about is seeing the connection with other people. How can you connect to others? How can you get past something you've been holding on to? How can you get past this blame? You know, are you blaming somebody in your life? Are you blaming society? Are you blaming your boss? Like, who is that you are pointing a finger at? Who is that you are seeing so different from yourself and is causing you negative emotions? This week is all about stepping into our true selves, recognizing, like I said, the connection that we all have, and being open, you know, encouraging yourself to see it from others' perspectives. And we're not doing this for anybody besides ourselves. Treat others the way that you want to be treated. How does it feel to blame others, to have anger or negativity or even hatred towards others? How does that make you feel? Probably not good. Now, what if you could forgive, not for them, but for you? How does that make you feel? Probably a little bit of relief. Now, your ego might want to hold on to some of that blame. It might be a little bit of an internal battle. And I'll show you the underlying energy cards before we talk more about that, because it really kind of illustrates this. So the one underlying energy of this whole week is peace, okay? The second is pride. Just what I was about to segue into, and then I looked down and saw the two cards. I'm like, okay, perfect time to bring this up. We have an option. We can be at peace. We can find that connection. We can be empathetic for ourselves, for others. We can step into our own authentic, true divine nature. And that will bring it peace. And I'll read the card really quick. It says, I am a being of love, and I release all negative energy. Okay? Or you can stick with the ego, and you can be prideful. And the pride card says, I love myself and I see myself in everyone. That's what it's encouraging us to do, but pride is not associated with seeing ourselves in everyone. It's seeing ourselves as different. Pride comes from the ego. So you have a choice. You can choose peace, you can choose pride. Recognize your own love. Recognize the love in everybody else. This is really about connection this week, and know that there might be that internal struggle. Peace, pride, peace, pride. I know this is best for me, but they make me so mad. And oh my gosh, if they just didn't do that, then I wouldn't have to deal with all this crap. Choose peace. It's going to get you much further along your personal journey than sticking with the ego. Okay? So this really doesn't have a whole lot to do with business or writing or things like that, but it might. We'll have to see what next week brings and what comes as a result of choosing this. I think the more that we take responsibility and we look for that peace in everything, the more that abundance and success just flows, because we're not blocking it. We're not blocking it out. When you think about it, if you're in any sort of service or anything, if you have in your job, in your business, in anything, it's about that constant flow of energy. You provide a service, people pay you money, and that's how the world works, essentially. So whenever you cut yourself off from others, then you're putting that block, you're putting that shield around you, and you might think your ego, your pride might tell you this is protecting you, but it's blocking you, okay? It might be protecting you, it might be protecting your ego, but your soul knows how to handle all of these situations. It knows how to love, even when others act in a way that we might not agree with, okay? So let's move on to the abundance card. All right, so to work on your abundance this week, the card that came up is savings. I'll show you a picture in just a second, but the card says as you consistently save for your future is saved. You do your future I can't read this card for some reason. You do your future self a big favor as you consistently set aside present funds. This is a part of your self-care and path to feeling secure as you focus upon your life purpose. So you can see there's just an abundant bush, and she has that light shining on her, and she's, to me, kind of deciding what flower she's going to pick. And she hasn't picked any yet. She has some in her hair, but she hasn't picked any more. And so I think this week, to contribute to your abundance, is think about saving your funds, think about building that abundance rather than spending it. And I know that it's so hard, especially this time of year, because we have trips and vacations and a whole bunch of other commitments, and that all costs money. I know I always spend way more money in the summer than I do in the winter. So this is a good reminder to all of us. We have abundance. We've been able to spend a lot of money. I mean, just look around you at everything you've spent on. This week, let's just try to save a little bit, or maybe plan to start saving. It might be a good time to think about starting retirement funds, whatever you've been neglecting savings wise. This week is a good time to focus on it, because what this card is saying is the less you kind of pick from that bush, the less you allow your funds to dwindle, the more they are going to serve you in the long run. So just know that if you're telling your friends, like, sorry, I can't go get a drink, or maybe I should skip out on that trip, that's another thing that's just came to me. This week, you might have temptation. You might have people asking you if you can do this, if you can do this, if you can do that, and you might feel an obligation to do all of them. What this card is encouraging you to do is pick very wisely. It's okay to say no to commitments. It's okay to, you can say you're trying to save, or, you can say whatever. This is your life and this is your abundance. So don't allow it to dwindle away because others want you to do things and you feel an obligation. Okay? All right. So let's move on to the last cards, and these are the Law of Attraction cards. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly flash 3 cards in front of you, and I want you to pick intuitively the card that resonates the most with you. So I'm going to do it quickly because I don't want to give you too much time to think. Again, this is from the Esther Hicks Law of Attraction cards. If you have these cards, if you play around with them, if you recognize the pictures, then just close your eyes and ask yourself, should I pick 1, 2, or 3? So whatever card you pick, I'm then going to read you your personal message. So this is going to be very individualized for your energy this week, okay? This is card number 1. Whoop. This is card number 2. This is card number 3. I covered up the message, so you couldn't read it. All right, so which one do you want? 1, 2, or 3? Okay. Card number 1 says, I understand the rules of the game of life. And this is so interesting because I pulled this card last week, even though I couldn't post the video. And this was the card that I picked myself. So let me read this. If you pick this card, this is your message. Now that I understand the rules of the game of eternal life, now that I understand the powerful law of attraction and deliberate creation, I can pre-pave, segment by segment, my life experience into becoming the allower I was born to be. For I was destined to a life of fulfillment and never-ending joy. If you picked this card, it is about just allowing things to roll off your back, not holding on to that negativity. And that's whenever you are going to see that success and that abundance and the manifestations. All right, so the second card, if you pick the second card, which is this one, it says, if I am resisting evil, I am attracting evil. And the message on the back of this is, if you are resisting anything, you are focused upon it, pushing against it and activating your vibration of it, and then for attracting that which is like it. This so much goes with the rest of the cards. Letting go of the ego, letting go of the pride. If you are focused negatively on something outside of yourself, you're attracting more energy like it. So this is a lesson for everybody, especially if you pick this card. Just ask yourself, what is it in you that you're holding on to? What negativity are you holding on to? What is something you just can't let go of? This week, you especially need to focus on that peace. Focus on the empathy, on the service, on the connection. Do things to make yourself feel good. Do things to make yourself feel connected to others. Maybe even volunteer somewhere. Allow yourself to see the good in others as reminders and as distractions so you can stop focusing on the bad, stop blaming outside factors. And then the third and final card is, I want continual joyous growth. And that is the third card. If you pick that, your message is, I am a growth-seeking being, and it is exhilarating to remember that expansion is not only natural, but inevitable. I love knowing that joy is simply a choice. So since my expansion is inevitable, I choose to have it in joy. All 3 of these cards are really talking about choosing that peace, choosing that joy, choosing your happiness over focusing on the outside. Any negative experience that you had on your outside, you have a choice this week to grow from it. How will you grow? If you're just thinking about the same old story in your head, if you're replaying it over and over again just to feed your pride, just to feed your ego, and I'm not trying to call anybody out, but that's really what we do. Our ego just needs that constant reassurance that we're right, we're right, we're right. That's just going to keep you stuck. This week is really about pushing past that. I don't know what the cards will be for next week, but I have a really good feeling that once we do this inner self work, we're going to start attracting and manifesting amazing things in our life. Okay? So thank you very much for joining me. A couple links below. You can check out my website, Mind, Body, and Spirit Entrepreneur. For anybody who is interested in starting their own business, I have 2 different programs. You have a free option and then also the 9-to-5 Dropout Academy, and I'll put those below. I have a weekly podcast, Mindful Mondays, that are full of reflections and meditations. I'll link to that below. So yeah, just stay connected, and I hope that you have an amazing week. I'm sending you lots of love, and I hope that you feel the connection that we have and that, we all have. All right. Love and light.